Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be here and a bit overwhelmed with all these wonderful discussions. I think the main question here is how we grow together, how we grow while being safe, independent, and competitive. There are two mega trends that are trying to answer that question. The one is the energy transition, and the other one is digital transformation. Now, the most crucial implication these days is energy prices and how they have ripple effects to all the aspects of our economy. I happen to wear three hats. I'm a scientist, I'm a corporate executive, and I'm also a person with an obvious disability. As a scientist, I say that innovation is key, making technologies cheaper and more accessible. And the key to innovation is research conducted in academic institutions, which is then becoming a startup and requires funding and good connections with the industry, so startups can design technologies with immediate applicability to the market needs. Now, as a corporate executive, I say that we have a challenge here to restructure all segments of our economy. We have big projects in the pipeline in Greece, like in renewables, offshore wind farms, storage projects, and even later hydrogen. We have the know-how and the tools. We have good collaborations, Greek and French companies. We have the tools to deliver. Now, the ultimate goal in the industry in Greece is to become greener, is to form as fast as possible bilateral PPAs so that we can consume green energy. We also have another opportunity here in small and medium enterprises. ESG criteria will be incorporated by the EU in the transitional plans of SMEs. It is with great pleasure today that I see that the Hellenic Development Bank has already incorporated ESG criteria in their financial tools. This is what we need, a framework combining both financial and non-financial aspects. Now, as a person, I would say that this should be a transition for all. We should include everybody in this transition. Civilians should be responsibly informed and included both in the digital transformation and in the energy transition. When it comes to energy transition, I mean inclusion in energy communities or inclusion in energy efficiency projects so they can benefit from renewables. When it comes to digital transformation, I know many young adults that spend 2 days per month paying the bills of their parents, their households, and their grandparents' households. So I'm afraid that as digital services expand, there is lack of digital literacy. We need to design for all. We need to train everybody to use the new tools. So in conclusion, I say that what we have here is an enterprise to investor matchmaking place. All the aforementioned issues cannot be tackled at once. We need to think, design, and implement in different fields concurrently for the next decade or for the next 2 decades. But 10 years from now or 20 years from now, no one shall be left behind. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry you told everything I wanted to say, so it's very difficult for me. Anyway, we could have a positive view. We will succeed. The EU has put in place the Green Deal, for the first time put in place a framework, a legal framework and a regulatory framework that should lead us to decarbonation in 2050. Very good. And then how to do that? Through electrification, through switching from petrol, carbon and gas to electricity. And then you should decarbonize electricity with renewables. Very single, very clear, very logical. But that's the positive view. The negative view is that to do that, to succeed, every country in the world should do the same thing. So that's not very easy to achieve. And I think it's impossible. First point. Second point, every citizen in the world should agree to that, because don't believe that this path from where we are now to decarbonization in 2050 will be costless. It will cost a lot of money, and it will decrease the standard of living of everybody. So both the citizens of each country should agree to that, and two, every country should agree. So it's very challenging, very, very challenging. And to do that, we should decrease the injustices, because the cost of what we will do is very more heavy on poor people than on rich people, on poor countries and on rich countries. So it's a huge issue. And on top of that, doing everything with renewables. I love renewables. I've been doing that for 42 years, so I don't say it's a very good idea, but it's impossible. There is not enough space in the world for renewables everywhere. It's not possible. Some countries, some places in the world don't have renewable resource enough, and you need storage because it's intermittent. It's a lot of problems. So, of course, you should do a lot of renewables, but we cannot. The solution is not only renewables. And what else except renewables? So, innovation. Nuclear power. Without nuclear power, we will not achieve anything. We need nuclear power, but new nuclear power, green nuclear power, and I think that's possible. So to achieve that, we need innovation, and I'm very happy to be here with this, because I work a lot with BPI, which helps new enterprises to develop, helps understand innovation, and the planet will be saved by innovation and not just by the plans we have right now. Well.
So I must say that Mr. Mouratoglou is more well known as the father of the tennis coach, Mr. Mouratoglou, but to be honest, Mr. Mouratoglou is actually Lionel Messi of the renewable energy market. He is very famous, and I'm very honored to be with you and speaking with you in the same panel. So, having said that, what I thought might be useful to you is to highlight and describe a little bit the investment environment in Greece regarding the green and infra investments. It has been already highlighted, but allow me to say a few words about the EU Green Deal, which actually will accelerate green investments. And first of all, the EU Green Deal promotes decarbonization that will affect and will have implications in all sectors of the Greek economy. The most crucial thing of the last few weeks is, of course, the unexpected energy crisis that came up due to the Ukraine-Russian war. And actually, this has highlighted the need for even greater acceleration of green investments that will lead Europe's green energy autonomy over the next decade. It's inevitable to do that. And in this context, Greece is a country in transition in terms of investment interest. We have reduced our macro risk investment, and this will lead to attract more foreign direct investment, as we have seen in the past 2 to 3 years, and this we expect to accelerate even further in the years to come. At the same time, the government is having in place a large-scale green energy investment plan, which is worth noting that the Greek plan is one of the most ambitious among the European countries regarding the European Green Deal. So the time for green investment is now, and let's see why. First of all, we will have a very strong front-loaded investment pipeline in Greece for the period 2020-2030, with total investment needs for green deals to approach almost 50 billion euros. This new heavy pipeline of green projects creates significant equity needs. Actually, according to our estimations, there will be a need of more than 10 billion euros in terms of equity. And of course, it's practically impossible to find these funds and to be raised within the next decade due to the limitations in issuing new capital and raising additional debt. But at the same time, as we have the shortage of equity, we must note that this kind of investments, they have remarkable returns, average of more than 10% in terms of IRR, and they benefit from a fast-track process of licensing that, of course, will give them an advantage in the next years. Given both the returns of these investments and the lack of funds, it's more than necessary to attract foreign direct investors and, of course, to create new private equity funds that will assist in the search and in finding new capital needed for this kind of investments. Regarding the markets that are of need for investments, it has all been mentioned by the previous speakers. I will highlight that by the end of 2025, renewable energy sources are anticipated to represent 75% of the total LNG production in Greece. And at the same time, we will need more power plants than those that we have, more investments in energy efficiency and energy storage, in circular economy, new technologies, and at the same time, digitalization. So, having said that, what needs to be highlighted, I think, is that the road to energy independence and the transition to Greek energy requires large-scale investments, and this in itself highlights the significant potential for cooperation. Cooperation first in terms of co-funding opportunities in equity and loans, and in this field, the role of BPI and HDBI can be a catalyst, and second, exchange of knowledge and collaboration for the development of new technologies in green energy, such as hydrogen, cell technologies, energy storage, offshore wind, and photovoltaic parks. Thank you.